This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Arizona. I'm here with Destination Havasu. For over 20 years, they have been here 24/7 to assist you with your home buying and selling needs from start to finish. I'm joined with Allison, Paoli, who is a Realtor on the team. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Gary.
You were a graduate of St. Mary's College in Notre Dame, Indiana. You received a degree in communications. Behavioral coach, team developer, culture enhancement specialist for nearly 2 decades. You're also the founder of M3 Leadership Enterprises, where you consulted with Fortune 500 executives as well as professionals, really since 2007. In 2018, you began your local career, as you say, in real estate. Why the decision to begin a real estate chapter right now in your life? Share with us.
Well, I love the consulting part of the business. It's always been an ebb and flow type of business, kind of like real estate. So when I was trying to think of what I could do to also add to my career, I'm very well connected in Lake Havasu City. I have been a part of the Chamber of Commerce ever since I got here in 2008, and I'm a graduate of their leadership program. And so when it came to what else is it that I could do that I could add value and serve people within my community, real estate seemed like the logical answer.
It seemed like a natural fit for you, really. You're pretty well connected in the area there, and obviously real estate is big. Since 2018, you have continued to increase your competency and your experience in real estate. What do you feel attracts home buyers to the area of Lake Havasu?
Well, we have a lot of great things that attract our home buyers. We have a lot of outdoor activities. So whether you're into boating, and a lot of people think of the lake and they think of boating. If you think of Lake Havasu, you're obviously going to think of boating, but there's so many more outdoor activities, whether you like mountain biking or razoring, hiking, especially during the winter months. We have this whole beautiful desert for people to play in. And so it's called Arizona's Playground for that reason. It's just a beautiful place to be. It's a wonderful community to be a part of. And I think people come here and they fall in love. That's actually what happened to me. And they fall in love and they want to stay, or they at least want to buy property here because it's a great place to be, or at least a great place to come on vacation.
I mean, the video and imagery on your guys' website was enough to entice me. I mean, it looks so beautiful. I mean, as you continue to gain knowledge of the real estate market, why do you feel real estate continues to be a preferred investment in many portfolios?
Well, if you look at real estate over the course of time, it always outperforms even inflation. Like if you look right now, we are seeing an increase in prices and inflation.
Sure.
But if you look for the long term, real estate is always a safe bet to outperform inflation. And, like we say right now, you can fall in love with a home. You've got a great opportunity now. There's more inventory than we've had in a very long time. And you can always refinance at another time, but at least at this point, right, today, you're not overpaying by $50,000 or $75,000 where you might not make up that equity. So real estate is always a safe place. It's like a bank account for parking your money and sitting on it. Plus, it's a great place to have your money so that you can enjoy a home and be part of a community.
For sure. I mean, not only is it an investment, but for first-time home buyers out there, I mean, would you say it's still the American dream, and do you love assisting them on that journey?
Helping first-time home buyers is actually one of my favorite things to do. First of all, there's a lot of education in that. So right from pre-qualifying them to getting them through and introducing them to all the different aspects of the process, and there's a lot of them. And real estate buying can be an arduous process, it's really fun to educate people. And because it is part of the American dream, it's the first time ever achieving something like that, it's fun to take them through that process. I had a couple a few years back, and it was their first time, and they had so much fun with the process. They got in right before the big COVID boom, where everybody was buying houses and arguing over them. So they've made a lot of money on it, and I've continued to help first-time home buyers since then. But yeah, it's a really fun thing, and it's rewarding to see, when watching their kids grow up there and seeing them in school and things like that on social media. So it's a very cool process. It's fun to be a part of their lives that way.
That is excellent. I mean, for first-time home buyers, I mean, it's exciting time, but yet at the same time, it's frustrating. Is the seller still in control, and are you able to help them suggest offers that will maybe make them stand out a little bit?
Well, a couple months ago, I would say there are some things that you have to do as a buyer that the sellers were a little bit more in control. Now we find that we've shifted a little bit into more of a buyer's market. So
Nice.
the buyers have a little bit more leverage for the first time in probably a little bit over 2 years, to be honest with you. Some of the strategies that I like to employ for people is to really think about, what you could deal with walking away with. What's the max amount you would want to pay? You know, why did you fall in love with this house? What was the idea? Because sometimes people start squabbling over things that are just so meaningless and they forgot what the big picture was. So
Sure.
you have to go back and remind them about those things. So, it's really about walking them through that process and keeping them grounded so that they end up getting what they want, but also understanding the psychology that's coming from the other side too.
That is interesting. Speaking of the other side, as we see a little bit of a shift in the market, like you say, if there's any homeowners out there who are thinking of selling, why is this still a possibly good time?
So it is a really good time because people are always going to need to buy houses. Nationwide and in Havasu, we still have an inventory shortage. We have people coming here from all over the country every single day wanting to make this little town, this great little oasis in the desert, their home. So it's a great time to sell because there are things that you can do as a seller. So historically, if you look at interest rates right now, we're not all that much higher than the national. Sure. It's really not that big of a difference. It's just we were spoiled with COVID interest rates. So there are things that people can do, though. They can ask for the sellers to buy down their points with certain lines of credit and whatnot. They can buy down their points so they can get a little bit lower of an interest rate, and the seller can then use that in as a write-off. So they take that as a loss. So it's kind of a win-win situation, and everybody walks out feeling pretty good about it. So that's one of the strategies. I'm not telling any sellers not to sell right now because ultimately there's a buyer out there for every home. Sure. There's still plenty of homes that are needed. And at the end of the day, it's you will sell your home. So maybe it wasn't going to be like a crazy extreme like it was before, but it'll happen.
Still going to be good, especially when you find that right fit. I mean, people want a home, and you've got it. Absolutely. When a market is hot like this, it's probably tempting for the sellers to sometimes think about hanging a for sale by owner sign and thinking they're going to save a little bit. Why is this not usually a wise decision, and maybe more important than ever to go with a professional?
Well, usually the realtor is worth the weight that they carry through the process. So it's one thing, a very small part of the process is selling the house, and that's what people forget. There's also a long legal part of the process of real estate. So if you don't know about inspections and the legal implications for selling a home, if you are not able to market it across many platforms like realtors are, and then it's really difficult for you to be able to sell that. For instance, I had a seller a few weeks back that tried to FSBO his for quite some time, and it didn't work. One day on the market with the platforms that I am able to expose him to, the house was sold in a day. So we just have more exposure. The other part of that, and it's really important, is that realtors all over town have a pipeline of buyers, but they're not going to push your house if it's a FSBO because they want to work with another realtor. So those are things that you really need to understand. And usually we can negotiate on your behalf to almost pay for what you're going to save if you were to try to sell it on your own. And we can save you a lot of headaches because we're problem solvers. We don't just sell houses.
Absolutely. I think it's a little more complicated than people picture out there. And once they get into it, I mean, they find themselves trying to save a penny and losing a dollar. I don't think it's a very smart game to do. As a professional realtor, how important is communication with your client through the process? I imagine this is not a job that starts at 9 a.m. or ends at 5 p.m.
It is not. I feel like I work 24/7 because clients are very important to me. I think the longer you're in the business, the more you just tend to calm down about it. But for me, I've always been into customer care and service, and I do care. I care about every transaction. I don't care if you're selling a $200,000 home or $1 million home, your transaction is important to me. So I have clients that I know are going to check in with me, but if I haven't heard from them in a while, especially when I know that there's a lot of showings and things, then I'm definitely going to be checking in with them. Just, here's what's going on in the market this week. I saw some buyers out there. Your house is getting a lot of activity, on other platforms. I want to let them know what we're doing each week so that they understand that it's not just sitting there with a sign in the yard. We're actually working really hard to try to get this property sold for them.
That is excellent. One of the skills that you have developed, really for the past 2 decades, is listening to the needs of a client. Do you enjoy getting to know your clients and obviously realizing not one size fits all?
Not one size fits all at all. And I actually think that that's really important, because I think a lot of people they hear one thing and then they pinpoint, okay, this is what your client wants. And listening is probably the most important thing that we can do for people. I think it's probably one of the most important leadership skills that we have. So I love getting to know my clients. I try to stay in touch with them. I usually try to link up with them on Facebook just so I can keep track of what they're doing, or, Instagram, see pictures of their families and whatnot. But it's really about maintaining that relationship. You can either have a client where, you just do a transaction and that's it. Or, as I like to say, I don't like a one-night stand. I want to have a continued relationship with those people. That's very important to me, and they become my friends. So I love that.
I like that. As a behavioral specialist, do you feel these skills that you've acquired in the past also help to serve your clients better in real estate?
I do, and that's actually, when you asked me in the beginning why I thought real estate after doing what I was doing, I have learned to pick up on people's behavior and understand their needs very quickly, and that's why I knew real estate was one of those things where it's not a one-size-fits-all, that there's certain people who need to know certain details about a house, and then there's certain people who are going to go and fall in love with the house. Same thing with sellers, right? They want to be told every step of the way what they need to do, and then there's some that are just like, oh, I've done this a million times before. We already know what to do. You don't need to do that. But you have to be able to pick up on their cues. And yes, I do think that helps me to be a better agent, because I know exactly what they need, and I know that they all need something different. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Interesting. Havasu, with a desirable 300 days of sunshine a year, low cost of living, really, a proximity to social clubs, outdoor activities, this city remains popular. Why was the Destination Havasu team a good fit for you?
Well, they've been a great fit for me, probably because it's a family-owned business. And I got into the consulting business because it was started by my father, and we had a family-owned business actually in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, for 16 years.
Wow.
So I love the dynamic of working for a family-owned business where we all sort of pitch in for each other. If somebody needs help, it's not all about what are you going to pay me? Those types of things that happen with other bigger groups. And there's just something special about that. Yeah, you just feel like you're part of something bigger. And for me, that's really important.
That is great. You're a 2009 graduate of the Havasu Leadership and Development. You're recognized as Woman of the Year in Relationship Management Consulting. Regardless of what occupation you're in, do you enjoy sharing your knowledge, be it on boards or groups locally?
It's one of my favorite things to do. If I could just volunteer all day and my bills would be taken care of and my kids would be taken care of, that's what I would do, because I feel like I've been blessed with education and diverse cultural experiences, and I love to be able to add what I know and be able to share that with people. And so that's definitely one of the things that kind of keeps me going and makes me excited. My kids sometimes are like, when are you coming home? And I'm like, I don't know, I've got this meeting, but I really enjoy it. And I think now they see the impact that you can have, especially on a smaller community, where you can really see that the work that you're doing on the side and the people that you're helping, it all comes full circle, and it's a nice thing to be a part of something like that.
That is great. You were selected also as a Woman of Outstanding Leadership. Obviously, it's important for you to give back to your community and civic organizations. So do they become kind of like your second family, really?
They are my second family, absolutely, especially, the chamber family that I have, and now I'm part of Women's Council of Realtors, and even our local association as part of our board. Yeah, going to those meetings, at first you're kind of intimidated by it until those people start to know you so well and then you're like, you can't wait to get there and to be a part of all of it. So they are. And even as I think about my kids growing up and going to college, I'm like, I guess I'll be doing more of that in the future, because that's what I'll need for myself.
That is neat. I mean, as the keys are handed over to your client, are you honored that they have put the trust in you for probably the biggest investment they're going to make in a lifetime? I mean, it's challenging, but is it rewarding to help them cross that finish line? Do you continue to enjoy doing what you're doing?
So far, there's not a transaction that I've done at the end that I was like, oh, I just didn't like that. Of course, there are tumultuous situations and things that happen through the course of a transaction where you're like, oh my gosh, I just can't wait for this to be over. But the majority of people are so grateful, and they have the home that they were really looking for. And to see a family especially go through the process and all the little things that happen along the way, and handing those keys over and having them say, hey, can you hold us, can we get all sold signs for the kids and all that kind of stuff? I mean, that to me is so rewarding. And then when they say, can you come back in a couple months and see what we've done to the house? We want to show you all this stuff. You just kind of feel like you're part of it. So, I mean, that is the best part, is handing over the keys and, sending the gift and saying congratulations and following up and seeing how they're doing.
That is exciting. I didn't realize you had ties to Colorado. I'm glad you mentioned that, your father being here. Very exciting to tell your story. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is the website. First of all, on the website, they've got a search engine right there to find your dream home or your next investment property. If you're not sure what your house is worth, you can find out right there. It's fast and it's free. Check her out also on the Facebook page. If your destination is Havasu, definitely where you're going to want to find out some more information. Someone who has been really connected with the community for many years, has a vast resources of knowledge that she can share with you, not only in real estate, but really in business in general. Once again, that is Allison Paoli, here 24/7 to assist you with your home buying and selling needs from start to finish. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.